Welcome to our deep dive into the world of F1. We're going to explore why it's so much more than just fast cars going around a track.
Yeah, it really is a fusion of cutting-edge technology, human drama, global impact. It's a sport that constantly pushes the boundaries of what's possible.
I think a lot of people have this image of F1 as just millionaires racing expensive toys.
Right.
But it's so much deeper than that. Imagine a sport where cars hit speeds over 200 miles per hour with engines that are not only powerful, but amazingly efficient.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about engines that are over 50% thermally efficient. And, to put that in perspective, most road cars are around 25%.
Yeah.
So these engines are technological marvels, and a lot of the innovations we see in F1 trickle down to the cars we drive every day.
Okay, so let's unpack this. To truly appreciate what we have today with these technological marvels, we have to go back to the roots of F1. Picture this: 1950 Silverstone Circuit in the UK. The first ever official Formula One World Championship race. And it was a very different era back then. Drivers raced without seatbelts, wearing open-face helmets. The level of danger was significantly higher compared to today's races.
Of course.
It was a time of raw courage and skill.
Yeah, it was.
It's almost hard to fathom that level of risk, especially when we see the safety measures in place today.
Right.
But it was in this era that legends like Juan Manuel Fangio rose to prominence. 5 world championships under his belt, battling it out in cars that, compared to modern F1 cars, look almost primitive.
Yeah, Fangio was a true pioneer, and his driving style was a testament to his era. And then there was Sterling Moss, often called the greatest driver never to win a championship.
Oh, really?
His skill and daring were legendary, really pushing the limits of what was possible at the time.
It's incredible to think about, those early races, how they laid the foundation for what we see today.
Right.
As with any sport, F1 didn't stand still. It evolved through distinct eras, each marked by technological leaps and intense rivalries. In the 1970s, we saw Lotus introduce ground effect aerodynamics. Could you explain what that is and why it was such a big deal?
Well, think of it this way. They figured out how to use the air flowing under the car to literally suck it to the track, giving it incredible grip and higher cornering speeds. It was a revolutionary concept that changed the way race cars were designed.
So it's like they discovered a way to cheat gravity at least a little bit.
Yeah, in a way.
It makes you wonder how they even came up with these ideas back then. Like, did someone just wake up one day and say, hey, what if we use the air to glue the car to the road?
Well, there was definitely a lot of experimentation and ingenuity involved. And the 1970s were a time of great innovation in F1. This era also gave us Niki Lauda's inspiring comeback story. After a near-fatal crash, he returned to racing.
Wow.
Demonstrating incredible courage and determination.
It's stories like Lauda's that show how much more there is to F1 than just the technical aspects. It's about the human spirit, the will to win, the resilience to overcome adversity.
Absolutely.
But the innovation never stopped. The 1980s roared in with the era of turbocharged engines.
Yes.
These engines produced over 1,000 horsepower.
The 1980s were a wild time in F1.
Yeah.
These turbocharged beasts were pushing the boundaries of power and speed. It was also the era of that legendary rivalry between Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna.
Oh, yeah.
2 of the greatest drivers F1 has ever seen.
Their battles on the track were epic. They were both incredibly talented, but their styles were so different.
Yeah, Prost, the professor, was known for his calculated and smooth driving, while Senna was almost like a spiritual force pushing his car to the limit.
So you could say Prost was like a chess player strategically planning his moves.
Yeah.
While Senna was more like a warrior.
Yeah.
Attacking with raw speed and aggression.
Yeah, their rivalry pushed each other and the sport to new levels of performance and intensity.
And it was during this era in the 1990s that we saw the rise of another legend, Michael Schumacher. He went on to win a record-setting 7 world championships. His dominance was truly remarkable. This was also a time when electronic aids like traction control and active suspension started to appear in F1 cars.
It's fascinating to see how F1 has always been at the forefront of automotive technology. These innovations, while developed for racing, often find their way into our everyday cars, improving safety performance and efficiency.
It's like a high-speed laboratory for car technology.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I think it's time we take a closer look at the heart of a modern F1 car, the engine.
Okay.
And there's one particular innovation that really stands out, the hybrid power unit. It was introduced in 2014, and it revolutionized the sport.
Absolutely. What's remarkable about the hybrid power unit is that it combines a relatively small 1.6-liter V6 turbocharged engine with an energy recovery system, or ERS.
Okay.
And this system captures energy that's normally wasted during braking and from the exhaust heat and converts it into electrical energy.
Now, I find this incredibly interesting. Most people would assume that to get more power, you need a bigger engine.
Right.
But in F1, they're actually getting more power and efficiency from a smaller engine thanks to this ERS. Can you explain how that's even possible?
It's a testament to the ingenuity of the engineers involved.
Yeah.
The ERS has two key components, the MGUK and the MGUH. The MGUK captures kinetic energy from braking, much like regenerative braking in hybrid road cars. The MGUH, on the other hand, is unique to F1. It recovers energy from the exhaust heat, which is normally just wasted.
So they're not just burning fuel, they're capturing energy that would otherwise be lost.
Right.
That's remarkable.
And the result is an engine that is not only powerful, but also incredibly efficient.
Wow.
They've managed to achieve over 50% thermal efficiency with these power units,
Okay.
meaning that over half of the fuel's energy is converted into usable power to move the car.
I'm trying to wrap my head around just how impressive that is. It's like squeezing every last drop of performance out of each molecule of fuel.
And on top of that, these power units produce around 1,000 horsepower with strict limits on fuel flow and RPMs that can reach up to 15,000. It's a carefully orchestrated symphony of controlled explosions.
It's like a high-tech ballet of power and efficiency.
Right.
And it's not just about the engine itself, is it? There's a whole ecosystem of technology that supports this incredible performance.
Yeah, you're right. The engine is just one piece of the puzzle. To truly understand F1, you need to appreciate the science behind speed, and that starts with aerodynamics.
So we're talking about those sleek wings and intricate bodywork that make F1 cars look like they're from the future. What exactly do they do, and how do they contribute to a car's performance?
Well, think of an F1 car as a finely tuned airplane designed to stick to the track at high speeds. The wings and bodywork are meticulously sculpted to manipulate airflow generating downforce. This downforce essentially pushes the car down onto the track, giving it more grip and allowing it to corner at incredibly high speeds.
It's like creating an invisible force field that keeps the car glued to the asphalt.
That's a great way to put it.
And in 2022, they introduced new rules that focused on ground effect,
Right.
a concept we touched on earlier with Lotus in the 1970s.
Yeah?
The idea of using the air flowing under the car to create downforce.
Exactly.
So they brought back this concept, but in a safer and more refined way.
Exactly. The modern ground effect cars have carefully designed tunnels under the floor that accelerate the airflow, creating that low-pressure area that sucks the car down. This helps to reduce the turbulent wake behind the car, making it easier for following cars to stay close and attempt overtakes.
So it's not just about making the cars faster, it's also about improving the racing itself.
That's right.
It's all very clever, but I imagine it's a constant game of cat and mouse between the engineers and the rule makers, right?
Oh, for sure.
The engineers find ways to exploit the rules, and then the FIA comes in and tries to rein them back in.
That's exactly what happens.
It's a constant back and forth.
Yeah, and it's part of what makes F1 so fascinating.
But speaking of crucial elements that affect a car's performance, let's talk about tires. Ah, yes, tires. They're often overlooked, but they play a critical role in F1. Pirelli is the sole tire supplier, and they offer different compounds, soft, medium, and hard.
Right.
Each compound has its own characteristics in terms of grip and durability.
That's right. Soft tires provide the most grip but wear out quickly, while hard tires last longer but offer less grip. Choosing the right tire compound for the track conditions, weather, and race strategy is a crucial decision for the teams.
So tire choice becomes part of the strategic game of F1. It's not just about going as fast as possible all the time.
Exactly. It's a balancing act between speed and tire management. A driver who pushes too hard early on might find themselves struggling with worn-out tires later in the race, while a driver who conserves their tires might have an advantage towards the end.
So there's a lot more strategy involved in F1 than most people realize. It's not just about driving flat out. It's about making smart decisions about tires, pit stops, and even when to push and when to hold back.
Absolutely. And then there's the element of the pit stops, which are like mini races within the larger race. The crews are incredibly fast and efficient, changing all four tires in a matter of seconds.
It's mind-blowing how quickly they do it, but what's going through a driver's mind during a pit stop? Is it pure tension, or do they use that time strategically?
It's definitely a high-pressure moment for the driver.
Yeah.
They need to hit their marks, precisely maintain communication with the team, and be ready to launch back into the race as soon as the tires are changed.
It's just another example of how every second counts in F1, both on and off the track. There's this constant tension between speed and precision, risk and reward.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's that delicate balance that makes F1 so captivating.
And speaking of captivating, we can't forget about the legendary rivalries that have shaped this sport.
Oh, the rivalries.
The clashes of titans, the battles of skill and personality that have left an indelible mark on F1 history. Let's start with one of the most iconic rivalries of all time, Alain Prost versus Ayrton Senna. Two incredibly talented drivers, but as you mentioned earlier, their styles and personalities were so different.
Yeah, their rivalry was intense, both on and off the track.
Oh, yeah.
They battled for championships, collided on the track,
Mhm.
and their personal animosity was palpable.
I remember reading that their relationship was so strained that they barely spoke to each other, even when they were teammates at McLaren.
It was a classic clash of styles and personalities. Prost, the professor, was all about precision and consistency. He calculated his moves, managed his tires, and avoided unnecessary risks.
And Senna the Warrior was all about raw speed and aggression. He pushed his car to the limit, sometimes beyond, and his driving style was often described as being on the edge of control.
Their rivalry was fascinating to watch. It was like witnessing two completely different approaches to racing, two different philosophies clashing on the track.
And it wasn't just a battle of skill, it was a battle of wills. They pushed each other to their limits, and their rivalry ultimately raised the bar for the entire sport.
Absolutely. And their story is just one example of the many epic rivalries that have captivated F1 fans throughout the years. From Niki Lauda versus James Hunt in the 1970s to the modern-day battles between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, these rivalries add an extra layer of drama and excitement to the sport.
It's true. The human element, the clash of personalities and driving styles, is just as important as the technology and speed in making Formula One so compelling.
You're right. It's what draws us in and keeps us coming back for more. It's the stories of these drivers, their triumphs and tragedies, their rivalries and friendships that make F1 more than just a sport. It's a human drama played out at 200 miles per hour.
It's like a Shakespearean play set against the backdrop of roaring engines and screeching tires.
Right.
But let's not forget about the incredible engineering that goes into these machines. We've touched on the hybrid power unit, but I'd love to dive a little deeper into how it works.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fascinating piece of engineering. As you mentioned, it combines a 1.6-liter V6 turbocharged engine with an energy recovery system, or ERS.
And it's that ERS that really makes it stand out, right?
Yeah.
It's what allows these smaller engines to produce so much power while also being incredibly efficient.
Exactly. The ERS has two key components, the MGUK and the MGUH.
Uh-huh.
Right.
We talked about those earlier, but I think it's worth revisiting them. The MGUK captures energy from braking and converts it into electrical energy.
Right.
It's like a supercharged regenerative braking system, similar to what you see in hybrid road cars.
Right.
And the MGUH, which is unique to F1, recovers energy from the exhaust heat.
Right.
This is energy that would normally be wasted, but in F1, they found a way to harness it and convert it into usable power.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I'm still amazed that they can do that. It's such a clever way to increase efficiency and performance. But it's not just about the hardware, is it? There's also a lot of software and electronics involved in managing the power unit.
Absolutely. The engine control unit, or ECU, is essentially the brain of the power unit.
Yeah.
It manages everything from fuel injection and ignition timing to the deployment of the ERS.
It's amazing to think that all of this is happening in real time while the car is hurtling around the track at over 200 miles per hour.
Yeah, it really is. It's a testament to the incredible advancements in both hardware and software that have been made in F1.
So we've got this incredible engine, a symphony of power and efficiency, but it's all for nothing if the driver can't handle the car right.
You're absolutely right. The driver is still the most important part of the equation. They need incredible reflexes, physical fitness, and mental focus to handle these machines at such high speeds.
Right.
And they face immense pressure from their team, sponsors, and fans.
It's a high-stakes world, and only the best can thrive under those conditions. So we've covered the history, the technology, the rivalries, and the human element of F1. But what does the future hold for this incredible sport?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll delve into next. The world is changing rapidly, and F1 is facing new challenges and opportunities as it looks to the future.
We just left off talking about the future of F1, and, it seems like a good time to bring up the increasing focus on sustainability. The world is looking for greener solutions everywhere, even in motorsports. So how is F1 adapting to these new expectations?
Well, sustainability is a major focus for F1 right now.
Yeah.
They've set this ambitious goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2030.
Okay.
Which is no small feat for a sport that relies on, high-powered engines and global travel.
So how do they plan to achieve that? It's not like they can just swap out the engines for electric motors overnight.
No, it's definitely going to take a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
One of the key initiatives is the development of 100% sustainable fuels.
Okay.
So imagine a fuel that performs just as well as the fossil fuels we use today, but is made from renewable sources,
Oh, wow.
like biomass or even synthesized from captured carbon dioxide.
So they're literally trying to turn pollution into fuel.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty incredible. What else are they doing besides sustainable fuels? I mean, F1 involves a lot of travel, shipping cars and equipment all over the world. How are they addressing that?
Yeah, you're right. Logistics plays a big part in F1's carbon footprint. They're working on optimizing travel schedules, using more energy-efficient transportation methods, and minimizing waste at races. They're even exploring the use of biofuels for the support vehicles and transportation fleets.
It sounds like they're really committed to this, not just paying lip service to the idea of sustainability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just being environmentally responsible. They see sustainability as key to the long-term viability of the sport. In a world increasingly concerned about climate change, F1 needs to adapt and showcase its commitment to a greener future.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. They're not just racing cars, they're racing towards a sustainable future. But let's go back to those incredible cars for a moment. Earlier, we delved into the hybrid power unit, but I'm curious about another aspect of F1 technology that often gets overlooked. The tires. What makes F1 tires so special, and how do they impact the racing?
Well, tires are the only point of contact between the car and the track, so they play a crucial role in a car's performance. F1 tires are specifically designed to withstand the extreme forces generated at high speeds, providing grip handling and durability.
We briefly touched on the different tire compounds, soft, medium, and hard. But for someone who's not a hardcore F1 fan, can you break down what those mean and why teams choose different compounds?
Sure. Think of it this way. Soft tires are like running shoes.
Okay.
They provide incredible grip, allowing for faster lap times,
Okay.
but they wear out quickly. Hard tires are like hiking boots.
Okay.
They're more durable and last longer, but don't provide the same level of grip.
I see.
Medium tires fall somewhere in between.
So choosing the right tire compound is like choosing the right footwear for a specific activity.
That's a great analogy. Teams analyze the track conditions, weather forecasts, and their overall race strategy to determine which tire compound will give them the best performance advantage.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot between speed and durability.
Exactly. A team might opt for soft tires if they want to go for a fast start, knowing they'll need to pit earlier for fresh tires.
Right.
Or they might choose hard tires if they're planning a longer stint between pit stops.
So there's a lot of strategy involved, even when it comes to something as seemingly simple as tires.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it adds another layer of excitement to the race, as tire degradation and pit stop strategies can really shake things up.
We've been talking about the technical side of F1 for a while now. I think it's time to bring it back to the human element.
Right.
We talked about the legendary rivalry between Prost and Senna, but what about other iconic rivalries that have shaped the sport?
Well, F1 is full of captivating rivalries that have fueled the passion of fans for decades.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1970s, there was the epic battle between Niki Lauda and James Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Lauda, the methodical and calculated Austrian,
Right.
versus Hunt, the flamboyant and charismatic Englishman.
I remember watching the movie Rush, which portrayed their rivalry so brilliantly. It was about so much more than just who crossed the finish line first.
Yeah.
It was a clash of personalities, driving styles, and even approaches to life.
You nailed it. Lauda was known for his meticulous preparation and risk-averse driving,
Right.
while Hunt was more impulsive, relying on raw talent and a bit of luck. Their battle for the 1976 championship was one of the most dramatic in F1 history.
Didn't Lauda suffer a horrific crash that year and then made an incredible comeback just weeks later?
Yes, he was severely burned in a crash at the German Grand Prix, and many thought his career was over. But he defied the odds, returning to racing just 6 weeks later, still bandaged and in pain, to challenge Hunt for the title.
Wow, it's a testament to his incredible courage and determination. Did he end up winning the championship?
It was a nail-biting finish to the season. Hunt ultimately won by a single point after a dramatic final race in Japan. But Lauda's comeback remains one of the most inspiring stories in F1 history.
It just goes to show that F1 is about so much more than just driving fast. It's about pushing boundaries, overcoming adversity, and the sheer will to compete.
Absolutely. That's what makes it such a captivating sport. It's a blend of human drama, technological innovation, and edge-of-your-seat action.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true for the modern era as well. Think about the current rivalry between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Oh, yeah.
They're both incredibly talented,
Yeah.
but their driving styles and personalities are very different. creating some truly memorable moments on the track.
I've heard people compare their rivalry to that of Prost and Senna. Do you see the similarities?
There are definitely parallels. Hamilton, like Prost, is known for his smooth, calculated driving style and his ability to consistently extract the maximum performance from his car.
Yeah.
Verstappen, on the other hand, is more aggressive, willing to take risks and push the limits, much like Senna.
It's fascinating to see how these rivalries evolve over time. They push both drivers to become better, and they bring out the best in the sport.
You're absolutely right. They create those moments of tension, excitement, and unpredictability that keep fans on the edge of their seats.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, I think we need to talk about the incredible engineering that goes into these cars.
Yeah.
Earlier, we talked about the hybrid power unit, but I'd love to dig a little deeper into how it works.
Yeah, the hybrid power unit is a technological marvel. It combines a 1.6-liter V6 turbocharged engine with an energy recovery system, or ERS, which is what makes it so unique and efficient.
We talked about the two main components of the ERS, the MGU-K and the MGU-H. But what I find fascinating is how they manage to integrate these systems so seamlessly with the traditional combustion engine.
It's a testament to the brilliance of the engineers involved. The MGU-K, which recovers energy from braking, works in harmony with the traditional braking system,
Okay.
while the MGU-H, which recovers energy from the exhaust heat, is actually integrated into the turbocharger.
Wow.
It's a complex and intricate dance of energy conversion and power delivery.
So it's not just about adding a few extra bits and pieces. It's about creating a system where every component works together in perfect harmony.
Exactly. And the result is an engine that is not only incredibly powerful, but also remarkably efficient. They've managed to achieve over 50% thermal efficiency with these power units, which is significantly higher than traditional combustion engines.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around just how impressive that is. It's like squeezing every last drop of performance out of each molecule of fuel.
And they've achieved this while producing an incredible amount of power. These power units generate around 1,000 horsepower, with strict limits on fuel flow and RPMs that can reach up to 15,000. It's a carefully controlled symphony of power and precision.
It's like they've found a way to bend the laws of physics to their will. But the engine is just one piece of the puzzle, isn't it? The rest of the car has to be equally impressive to handle that kind of power and speed.
You're absolutely right. We talked about aerodynamics earlier, but let's take a closer look at how these cars are designed to slice through the air and stick to the track at such high speeds. Think of an F1 car as a finely tuned airplane. Every curve, every wing, every element of the bodywork is meticulously sculpted to manipulate airflow and create downforce.
So it's not just about looking cool. There's a real science behind all of those curves and wings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The front wing, for example, is designed to direct airflow over and under the car,
Okay.
creating a low-pressure area underneath that helps to suck the car down onto the track.
Wow.
The rear wing acts as a stabilizer, providing balance and downforce at the rear of the car.
And then there are those barge boards and side pods, which look incredibly complex. What do?
They play a crucial role in managing airflow around the sides of the car. They help to reduce drag, which is the resistance the car experiences as it moves through the air.
Uh-huh.
And they also contribute to downforce.
So it's a constant battle to reduce drag and increase downforce. Why is that so important?
Well, downforce is essential for cornering speed. The more downforce you have, the faster you can go through a corner without losing grip. And reducing drag is all about increasing top speed on the straights.
So it's like a constant balancing act between grip and speed.
Exactly. And the way these cars are designed and engineered is a marvel of modern technology. They're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in terms of aerodynamics, materials, science, and powertrain technology.
It makes you wonder what the future holds for F1 car design. I mean, will we ever reach a point where we can't make these cars any faster or more efficient?
That's a great question, and it's one that F1 engineers are constantly asking themselves.
Yeah.
But knowing F1, I'm sure they'll find ways to keep innovating and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But it's not just about the cars themselves.
Right.
There are other forces at play that are shaping the future of F1, both on and off the track.
So we were just talking about those forces that are shaping F1's future beyond the track. What are some of those forces?
Well, one of the biggest, I would say, is the evolving media landscape and how people are consuming content these days. You've got traditional broadcasting competing with streaming services and social media and gaming platforms.
Mm.
F1 needs to stay ahead of the curve if they want to engage fans in new and innovative ways.
You're right. Just think about the impact of Netflix's Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
It's brought a whole new audience to F1,
Oh, it has.
especially younger fans who might not have been interested in the sport otherwise.
Yeah, it's been a game changer. Suddenly you've got people who are invested in the personalities and the drama unfolding behind the scenes. It's not just about the racing anymore. It's about the stories, the rivalries, the human element.
So F1 needs to keep finding ways to tell those stories and create content that resonates with this new generation of fans.
Absolutely. They're experimenting with new camera angles,
Yeah.
onboard footage, access to team radios, all sorts of things to bring fans closer to the action and the personalities involved.
Speaking of personalities, you mentioned the rivalry between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Right.
Do you think we're seeing a shift in the type of driver who becomes a superstar in F1? It seems like personality and social media presence play a bigger role now than they did in the past.
It's definitely an interesting trend. Drivers like Hamilton and Verstappen are not only incredibly talented behind the wheel, but also very savvy when it comes to building their personal brands and engaging with fans online.
They're almost like influencers, right?
Yeah, in a way.
They're using their platform to speak out on social issues, connect with fans on a personal level, and build a following that extends beyond the racetrack.
Exactly. And I think it's a positive development.
Yeah.
It shows that F1 drivers are not just robots in racing suits. They're complex individuals with opinions and passions and a desire to make a difference in the world.
It makes you think about the legacy these drivers are creating, not just in terms of race wins and championships, but also their impact on society and their ability to inspire others.
Absolutely. They're role models for young people around the world,
Yeah.
and they're using their platform to promote diversity, inclusivity, and positive change.
That's a powerful message, and it's great to see F1 embracing that shift. But let's not forget about the heart of the sport, the technology that makes it all possible. Earlier, we delved into the hybrid power unit, which is a remarkable feat of engineering.
Right.
But where do we go from here? What's next in terms of engine technology?
Well, new engine regulations are coming in 2026, and they're designed to push the boundaries even further. The focus is on simplifying the technology while also increasing the electrical component of the power unit.
So does that mean we're moving closer to fully electric F1 cars? I mean, Formula E is already out there showcasing the potential of electric racing.
It's definitely a possibility. There are a lot of discussions about the future of F1 power units, and full electrification is certainly on the table.
Yeah,
But there are challenges to overcome, like battery technology and the sound of the engines.
you're right. The sound of those roaring engines is such a visceral part of the F1 experience.
It is.
It would be strange to have a silent race.
But just imagine the technological advancements that would come with developing a fully electric F1 car.
Yeah.
It would be a whole new era for the sport.
And it would align with the global push towards sustainability, which, as you mentioned earlier, is a major focus for F1.
Right.
But it's not just about the engines, is it? There are other areas where technology is transforming the sport.
Absolutely. One area that's really exciting is the use of data science and artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow.
Teams are using data to analyze everything from car performance to driver behavior to race strategy.
So it's not just about having the fastest car or the most skilled driver anymore.
Not entirely.
Yeah.
Data is becoming increasingly important.
Okay.
Teams are using machine learning algorithms to predict lap times, optimize pit stops, and even simulate entire race scenarios.
So it's becoming a more strategic and data-driven sport.
Exactly. And this data-driven approach is leveling the playing field in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller teams that might not have the same resources as the big budget giants can still gain a competitive edge by leveraging data effectively.
It's fascinating to see how technology is changing the dynamics of the sport, both on and off the track.
Yeah, it is.
But what about the fans? How is technology enhancing their experience?
Well, we're seeing more immersive and interactive experiences for fans. Virtual reality broadcasts are becoming more common, allowing fans to feel like they're actually in the cockpit of an F1 car.
That's incredible. It would be like experiencing the race from the driver's perspective.
Exactly. And AI-powered data platforms are providing fans with real-time insights and personalized content, making them feel even more connected to the action.
It sounds like the future of F1 is a blend of cutting-edge technology, thrilling racing action, and a deeper connection with the fans. It's an exciting time to be following this sport.
I couldn't agree more. F1 is constantly evolving, pushing boundaries and finding new ways to captivate audiences worldwide. It's a sport that truly embodies the spirit of innovation and human achievement.
Well, there you have it. We've explored the history, the technology, the rivalries, and the future of Formula One. From the roaring engines to the nail-biting overtakes, from the legendary drivers to the brilliant engineers, F1 continues to be a sport that captures the imagination and pushes the limits of what's possible.
It's been a fascinating journey, and we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Formula One.
But the conversation doesn't end here. What are your thoughts on the future of F1? What innovations excite you the most? What challenges do you think the sport needs to address?
Share your insights, join the conversation, and let's continue to explore the world of Formula One together.